Welcome to the Thrift Store Kitchen Review, where I test all the weird junk from the thrift store so you don't have to. Welcome to today's edition of the Thrift Store Kitchen Review. One of my favorite foods is pizza. Now normally I cook it in my oven. However, there exists many ways to cook pizza at home. There's quite a few standalone pizza cookers out there on the market, and today I have found one of the more unusual ones. This right here is the Pizzazz pizza cooker by Presto, and I got this at the New to You thrift store in Ball Ground, Georgia for only $20. So let's examine the Pizzazz pizza oven. Or is that Pizzazz? I don't know. First, you have the pan. It is non-stick, feels like it's made of probably aluminum, and it's heavily dimpled for some reason. And it sits right here on top of this little drive shaft, and it rotates to cook. You probably have the same question that I do. How does it keep the pizza hot when only about a fifth of the pizza is being heated at once? Well, I guess we're about to find that out. It has both an upper and a lower heating coil. It has this reset button, not sure what that's for, I'll have to look in the manual. Up top it has a mechanical timer, and that has this little switch right here, and basically what that's for, you can have either the upper, the lower, or both heating elements running at once. On the side here, it has a chart of how to cook different types of pizzas. When I looked online at the manual real quickly, it also not only has that chart there, you can also cook a variety of other foods using this machine. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and wash the pan down, and then I'm going to get a frozen pizza out. I'm going to do 2 tests on this machine, one with a frozen pizza, and the other I'm going to make a fresh one. So I will be back with the pizza and we'll see how it turns out. Okay, so I've gone ahead and gotten a frozen pizza out of the freezer. Tonight we are going with a Red Baron stuffed crust. It's what was on sale. So according to the instructions on the side of the machine, first we cook it for 7 minutes with just the lower element on, and after that we turn it to dual, aka both elements on, for 12 to 15 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. As soon as you plug it in, it starts to run, and then I'm going to turn the timer to about 7 minutes. And once it goes off, we'll check it and then turn on dual for 12 to 15. And we'll see how it turns out. Okay, so the timer says the bottom part is cooked. So now I need to change it to dual to also get the top heating element on. And it says 12 to 15 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and turn that up to 15. Now, as you can see, the pizza looks about the same as it did when I first put it on here. But that's because it was only cooking the bottom. I'd imagine because it's a stuffed crust, it's probably doing it that way in order to ensure that all the cheese inside the crust actually does melt properly. But we have it running now with both elements on, and we'll check it in just a few moments. Okay, so we're about 7 minutes into the cook. Now you can see the cheese is melting, but I'm not really seeing the crust really start to brown yet, nor the cheese. Now I'm hoping that in the rest of the cook time it will start to look that way, but I have the feeling I'm probably going to have to run it more time than recommended. Also, if you notice right here on the center, that never really seems to go underneath the heating element it doesn't seem to be melting at all. Now, I'm going to leave the pie centered as it is on the device, but this seems to be somewhat of an issue here, and I'm hoping that it actually does end up making a quality pizza after the full bake time, but we'll see. So there's about 3 minutes remaining on its recommended cook time. You can see now the cheese and the crust are starting to get brown, but the way this cooks is so weird to me. Like, look here, you can see where it's coming out, it's bubbling, and then it's just not anymore. Then it's resting. It's like cooking, not cooking, cooking, not cooking. I've never cooked anything in a way that works like this before. It's just weird to me, but hopefully after this pattern of cooking and not cooking ends, it'll just all kind of even out once it's done. Okay, so let me go ahead and unplug it. Now, amazingly, after 15 minutes, that pizza actually looks pretty done. It feels done. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to transfer this to a cutting board because the manual said absolutely do not cut on this pen because it can damage the non-stick surface. So I'm going to throw this in the sink, and then I'm going to cut this pizza. Now when I grip the crust, that cheese definitely feels melted inside. So let me pull off a small slice. Let it cool off for a minute, and then I'm going to take a bite. Still very hot, but the crust tastes nice and crisp, and the cheese is well melted. Now let me take a bite of that crust and see how the cheese is in there. I mean, it actually did come out decent. It looked like it wasn't going to, but somehow it miracled this pizza into a decent pizza in the last 7 minutes. So for frozen pizza, I really have no complaints. So I'm going to clean it up, and we'll see how a fresh pizza turns out on here. Okay, so now it's time to test out the pizzazz with a fresh pizza. And I've made one right here. Homemade dough, fresh mozzarella, pepperoni, and some spices on top. So first, I'm going to mount this on the drive shaft, which one thing I don't like about this, it's very hard to find, but okay, seems like I got it on there. I have it set on dual zone, and it says for a fresh pizza to cook it on dual zone for 11 minutes. Now hopefully that will be enough time. Normally when I make fresh pizza, I cook it in my oven on a metal pizza stone at a very high heat, usually between 525 and 550 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, I do not know what temperature this machine operates at, but we're just going to go ahead and plug it in and set the timer, and we'll check it in a few minutes, and then we can always add time as necessary. So I'm plugging it in now. It's rotating, and I'm going to set it to right about 11 minutes, and we'll be back in a few minutes to see how our pizza looks. So we are just about halfway into the cook that it recommends. Now you can see that the pizza is definitely starting to cook, but we also saw, like with the frozen pizza, that most of the cooking probably happens in the second half of the cycle. So in a few minutes, we'll see how it finishes up with the recommended 11 minutes, and if necessary, we'll add a little more time. Right now, the timer has less than a minute on it. The cheese is starting to melt pretty well, but that crust definitely needs to be more done. So I'm going to add a few more minutes to it, and hopefully the next time I check it, it'll be at the point that it'll be ready to eat. Okay, the timer just went off, so I'm going to go ahead and unplug it. Now, even though the cheese and the pepperoni is done, this machine just doesn't get the crust itself to the doneness that I like. But I'm going to go ahead and pull the pan off and remove the pizza. Gotta be real careful when removing that pan so you don't smash it into the top heating element and get the cheese stuck all on there. Now, another thing that may be an issue is actually getting this pizza off the pan, because you have to push the fresh dough into the dimples. But it does seem to be coming off. Let me move this up here so you can see it better. I'm just going to go ahead and move this machine to the side, hopefully without burning myself. Go ahead and get the pan up here. At least the non-stick does make it relatively easy to remove. I do wish this pan had some kind of handle or a way to grip it better, but I'm doing the best I can with what I've been given. All right, there we go. And let me go put this hot pan in the sink while the pizza cools for a second. Yeah, this pan is a pain to try to grip. Use the spatula to grab it. Okay, so here's our pizza. Like I said, it doesn't look bad, but that crust just looks underdone. So I'm gonna go ahead and slice it. And there's a slice. I mean, not a lot of flop, but that bottom crust, I like it with some black spots on there, and it just doesn't have that. Let me go ahead and take a bite and see how it turned out. I mean, it's not bad, but I can just do so much better in the oven where the entire crust is being baked the entire time and the much higher heat. But I mean, it works. So I'm gonna get that pan cleaned up one more time, and then we're gonna give the Pizzazz pizza oven its final test. I went ahead and I washed down the pan. We've seen that the Presto Pizzazz can kind of cook pizza. Now we're gonna find out, will it glizz? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and put the hot dog right here. I thought I had that thing mounted. Yeah, trying to get this thing mounted when you can't see it and there's no guide is the worst thing about this machine. But I'm going to go ahead and put the hot dog on here. We're going to leave the heating on the dual zone mode. I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. I'm just going to set the timer to whatever, because this is going to be one of those eye test type things to see when it's done. And I'm going to let that meat spin. It's been a few minutes. The hot dog's made a few rotations. Let's see if it's starting to heat up any. I mean, not really. I guess for larger foods, cooking it like this might work, but for something like this, it's just not working. So I'm going to try to speed this up. I'm going to get this fork. I'm just going to hold it under the heating element. Unfortunately, with this thing, there's no way to just turn off the rotation. That would make this a lot easier. You can hear when I hold it under here how much it actually does sizzle and make cooking noises. Unfortunately, I have to keep pushing it back under the heater. Turn it over. Yeah, this thing was clearly not meant for cooking hot dogs. I mean, most of the stuff that I've tested isn't exactly meant for cooking hot dogs, but this one is exceptionally difficult to get the job done. See how it's looking now. Yeah, I mean, it's starting to cook. Hold it under there for a few more minutes. Wonder if I could find something and maybe prop the fork up again so I don't have to sit here and hold it like this. Because this is just annoying. How's it looking now? I mean, it's cooking. Hold it this way so the far end of the hot dog that was less under the heater can get a little more cooked, but it's looking like it's going to be done within probably the next minute. Okay, so let me go ahead and put this on the bun. Break the hot dog open. Oh yeah, that's definitely done inside. I mean, it's pretty good. It's not the optimal way to cook a hot dog, but if you have the patience to do it this way, I'm not going to say it doesn't work. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put the pan in the sink one more time, and then I'm going to give my final verdict on the Pizzazz pizza oven. Well, I went ahead and washed it, but you can see there's this huge burn spot now on the nonstick pan. I cannot get that off, which is quite unfortunate. But beyond that, what's my final verdict on the Pizzazz pizza oven? Well, it seems to be good for cooking frozen pizza, but once you get beyond that, just no. The frozen pizza came out fine. It came out crispy. The cheese melted, it browned, but at the end of the day, you're really just, most of it is just reheating something out of the freezer. That fresh pizza was just a big thumbs down. I mean, it was edible, it tasted okay, but when I make fresh pizza, as I said before, I cook it in the oven on a pizza steel. If you've never used a pizza steel, what that is, it's basically a large, about 1/4 inch, probably actually more like 1/8 of an inch thick sheet of steel that you preheat at a high heat for about an hour before you put the pizza in, and it conducts the heat really well, so you get a really nice cook. You get good brown and black spots on the bottom of the crust. It comes out really crispy. It's so good. This does not even come close to that. This weird method it has of rotating as it cooks, where only part of the pizza is under the heater or over it at any given time, it's just not conducive to making good pizza. It's like you think about the mechanics of how it works. It's basically some kind of horizontal rotisserie. The other giant drawback to this is its size. Even without the pan, the unit itself is rather large, so you either have to have like permanent space for it somewhere on your counter or a really large storage space for it. So that affects its practicality as well. I mean, if you really like frozen pizza and you just don't feel like waiting for the oven to preheat, it's not a bad option, but I think it's very limited in scope and just has too many drawbacks to make it worth getting. Well, thanks for joining us on today's edition of the Thrift Store Kitchen Review. Be sure to subscribe. Follow us on the Facebook linked in the description below. Tell your friends about us. Drop us a line down there in the comments section. Be sure to get out there and support your local thrift store, and have a wonderful day.